thank you, gentlemen, so much for your time. Let me start by saying that thank you for providing some of the most wonderful sounds and soundtrack to my life and different experiences in my life. I appreciate you greatly and have always been a huge fan of your music. So thank you for that. And again, thank you for your time today.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. We really
So I'm
appreciate
excited to talk to you about, we're going to talk a little bit about the current protest and people making their voices heard, activism. You have some new music coming out. So I'm looking forward to getting into all of that with you. Starting off in Atlanta, Atlanta has been a very active place for the recent movement protesting George Floyd's death and police brutality as a whole. How are you men feeling today, watching what's going on in the world, just as Black men existing in this time and seeing a shift in in our, and just seeing a shift in our world?
Well, definitely what like just us being Black men just feel like it's time. It's time to, it's time to say, like, really stand up for what, what our our families in the past has definitely started, and it's gotten a little out of hand, and now it's happening in the multitudes now. You can't ignore it anymore. You can't be quiet. You can't be silent. You know what I mean? We stay here in Atlanta. We stay here in Georgia, where in Brunswick, Georgia, everybody know what happened with Ahmaud, and just to know, as the preliminary hearings going on, to know that there were things said, and then to actually find out that we don't even have a hate crime law that would protect us as a Black society here. You know what I mean? So if anybody was to do anything against us and it falls under the category of a hate crime, we don't have we don't have a law against hate crime. So that situation in itself, there are certain things that need to change. And I think for myself, it's very, very aggressive. In my family, I have a cousin that's running to be the first Black sheriff of Henry County. And I have an aunt that's the commissioner, and she's running again. And we've definitely had these situations in my family where we actually had confrontation with the Ku Klux Klan. Like, if I'm being straightforward, you know what I mean? So here we go. Like, sometimes to change the narrative, you have to be the narrative. And that's what's happening right here in Henry County, right in Georgia. And it's imperative that, yes, we're out here marching, and we definitely want to be heard. We have to take that same energy and go to the polls and actually because I know we feel slighted, and we feel, we look at a lot of the people that are running, and we might feel like that, hey, how can these people, relate to us? Then, it kind of reminds me of what Obama said. I never forget, before he left. He was like, don't boo, vote. Don't complain, vote. Do something about it. Go run for that particular office. If you don't like it, go. Sometimes you have to go in those positions. You know what I'm saying? So it definitely matters a lot with us here in Atlanta, Georgia.
Unfortunately, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
You good? You cool?
Go. Yeah, no, go ahead. I wanted to hear your thoughts as well.
Okay. Being the birthplace of Martin Luther King, who was one of the greatest activists as far as protest and peaceful conflict peaceful resolution was concerned. Atlanta is that hub. So pretty much if anything happens in Atlanta, as far as Black people are concerned, it's going to permeate throughout the masses, meaning other cities and other things of that nature, whatever. So it was incumbent upon us to make sure that our voices were heard more so, not than anybody else, but just make sure that our voices was heard, because we are looked upon in this city as the forefront of Black like excellence, basically, if you will. So if something happens in Atlanta, you better believe, as far as Black folks are concerned, then it reverberate throughout the Black culture. I am somewhat of an anarchist when it comes to this, because my philosophy is, because I'm hearing a lot of people say, well, don't burn down your communities and this, that, and the other, whatever. The thing is, we don't own these communities. So how can you burn something down that's yours if it ain't yours. You know what I mean? The only way that we're going to get change is if we let people, not figuratively, but well, not literally, but if we have to burn down the old society and to create a new one, a la the way the phoenix, rises from the ashes and whatnot. So I believe in governmental reform. I believe in incarceration reform. I believe in judicial reform. I also believe that that there needs to be a hate crime law in Georgia, because, like Slim said so eloquently earlier, that it is absolutely ridiculous, with being from the South, that is something that has not even been something that we entertain here, and that's crazy to me. So what I would say is, I think that everything that's happening needs to happen because I say this all the time. Where you sit on a position depends on the way you stand on a position. Depends on where you sit. So if you're in positions of power, you're sitting at the top. The issues that are going on for the people that are at the bottom is not going to be as prevalent. You know what I mean? So I would like for us to, in a peaceful way, find solutions for all of this governmental reform. However, I'm a realist, and I don't think that that's going to be possible in this day and age with all of this, with what our president is inciting, and all these people in positions of power are inciting. Like, these people in positions of power need to come together and be leaders and show the Black population that they are of change, and they want to change, and they want to see change. And but it's going to be difficult. And most times when there needs to be a change, somebody has to, I don't want to say suffer, because that's the wrong word, and that's the wrong mind frame that I want to put out there. But in order for that to be changed, you have to make the people that cannot see. Basically, that's the most politically.
There will be sacrifices.
But there will be sacrifices, and there will be there will be some bloodshed. And but this country was founded on a revolution, so they are familiar with it. This ain't nothing new.
Right.
It's just that we're taking their properties, and we're taking their stuff, and we're burning it to the ground. And now they're like, oh, that was the issue. It's been an issue.
People forget about Black Wall Street.
They forget about Tulsa, Oklahoma. They forget about Rosewood.
Yeah, absolutely.
So those are things that hopefully it comes more to light, because there are a lot of people, and I applaud people outside of our race that are coming together and seeing what we've been trying to tell them for 400 years, that no, it's not fair. No, we're celebrities and quote unquote, and we've been successful, and but our white counterparts who aren't as has a resume as deep as ours, they're benefiting greatly from this, where we are. You know what I mean? And I'm fair, because we're actually better than all right. But the point that I'm making is, if we're making, as successful a career as you can in R&B, our pop counterparts are just icons, if you will. And I'm not taking away from them, but we know where all of that came from, and it came from us. So,
right. To your point of what you were saying, of reform at all levels, from police reform and opportunity. A lot of times, a lot of the younger generation, and now this social media activism, they become focused on the big election, the presidential election. And without realizing, meanwhile, while these protests are going on, there are lifetime judges being approved.
Yes.
How do we shift that mindset to the young people that it's sexy to vote in all of that and being involved in all of that, and not just the big one, because it's those smaller ones that'll be more impactful to our community?
absolutely.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
And that's where I'm meeting it head on. So that's why I said in my county, that's the narrative that we've been trying to put out there. We're trying to get people, get the younger generation, just our community involved as a whole, to understand that you have to work your way up, and so a lot of the things you just hit on, the situation where in this day and age, everything is so here. It's here on the phone.
Right.
As opposed to, you know, when we were younger, you know, we didn't have all of this apps and stuff like that. So that
It's
like
impersonal.
it's very impersonal, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, you know, we would have Martin Luther King III would come in an area and he'll actually speak. Now, Black Lives Matter, you know what I mean? People that my kids pay attention to, they pay attention to if they were playing their video games, and they can play and listen to things that's going on. So what they see on television, unfortunately, the president that we have right now, he understands that, because that's what the one thing he is good at, is like branding and getting your attention as far as television, because he was an entertainer. Well, we have to be a little bit more stronger. We have to be a little bit more, but we need to press a little bit more in our communities and letting them, it needs to be a pride where you stay. You know what I'm saying? These judges, the people that are working out, the council and stuff, they need to be more seen in the community, so we know exactly who we're voting on. You know what I mean? And you know, because there's a lot of stuff going on, even with that. You know, right now it might not be popular to be a certain like Democrat or Republican, right? So if you, depending on where you live, so what they'll do is, like, this is what's going on in my neighborhood right now. You have Republicans running as Democrats. You know what I'm saying? So now we're trying to let people understand, like, hey, we're not telling you to pick what Republican or Democrat, but what we're saying is that if a person comes in and you can't just listen to somebody just say, we should make a change.
Right.
You know, as Black people, we love hearing that. Like, you know, it's certain keywords that will draw your attention. No, you hold these people that you go to the grocery store with accountable. What have you done in the community? Do I know you? If I don't know who I'm voting for, that might be a problem.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? Like, if I don't see you in my church, if I don't see you in the grocery store, the post office, or somewhere out here on the street, if I haven't seen you actually come together and have charity situation events, there are situations that goes on. Like, we got Mike here, he stands for Lupus Foundation. If I don't see any of these guys that are running and that wants to use our taxpayers' money to, you know what I'm saying, this is how they survive, and you know what I mean, but they're not doing anything in the community, then who are you? Right. Make a change for who and for what? You see what I'm saying? So yes, we need to be a little bit more aggressive as far as what's going on in the community, and let everybody, and everybody should feel like, okay, it starts here. Right here, what you're looking at first, because these people right here, they're running as your mayor or some part of the council. That person is eventually probably going to run for senator or representative, and go even further. So we need to be a little bit more attached with what's going on in our community.
Another thing that I just listening to Slim, what I realize is with, and this goes into policing as well. One of the things that what is problematic in our community is the fact that the police officers don't look like us. So they don't know how to identify with us. If you had somebody that was from that area who was your representation, your council members, you know, running for office, that look like you and that can identify and that understands what it means to be from Cleveland Avenue, you know, where we're from, then it's more likely that you would side with this person and people that look like you, because honestly, everybody else has been letting us down, you know, as far as we're concerned, and the people that come, give me your vote, and I promise I'm gonna do this, that, and the third.
I promise I'll do this.
And it never manifests.
Yeah.
So the problem with that is we need to feel like the people that we have, our heroes, our Obamas, our Martin Luther Kings, our Malcolm X's, you know, those people are represented in a way that our white counterparts are as well. And it has to be within our community. Like, it's so simple. It's almost ridiculous. You know, we need police officers that look like us to hit a beat in our neighborhoods versus somebody who comes from the suburbs who had this privileged lifestyle growing up, and then they come in and say, well, you're supposed to think like this because I think like this. No, it doesn't happen like that in the hood. You know, so we need more people, and maybe that's putting the cart before the horse, but we need more people in those positions so our younger generation can start seeing themselves in the future text of, hey, maybe I can be the next mayor of Henry County. Maybe I can be the next senator for a representative of Georgia. Maybe I can be, maybe I can be the next president. I saw Obama, you know what I mean? And so those are some of the things, that's one of the things I heard when listening to Slim. And also my initial thought was, this goes back to the older generation versus the newer generation and how we need to bridge that gap, because a lot of the older generation is, well, I see y'all don't know what y'all talking about, and the younger generation is, y'all don't know what y'all talking about because this is a new day and age. Coming together, using some of that wisdom that comes from the older generation and some of that fire that comes from the newer generation, I believe will mesh well and create this whole movement that's going on like right now. And I think it would benefit us greatly. So, and me being of the older generation, I have no problem reaching out to the younger generation. We just got to find a way to get them to where they want to listen to this wisdom that we're trying to instill on them as well, and then be open-minded because they may have ideas that we're not thinking of, and by then merging the two genres, the two generations, and then creating this coalition, if you will, of people moving in our agenda. Because that's all it is. It's just moving your agenda so right now we don't have leaders, you know, and that's the thing that's going on right now. Malcolm X said it best. He said the white people we're not overmatched, we're over organized. They're more organized than we are. So that's one of the things that, you know, we have no leader. Like right now, I mean, Killer Mike, you know, that's somebody that I respect greatly. That's somebody who has been consistent with his message from beginning to end, you know, and somebody that's from here that I know, that we grew up with, and we know it, you know. So as far as that goes, like, that would be somebody that, you know, I would definitely vote for if he ever decided to run, because he's been consistent with his message. He has been somebody that I know, somebody that I identify with, somebody that knows where we're from, and honestly, he is someone that, you know, I could believe in, you know what I mean? So, you know, Killer Mike, I'm putting it on you, bro. So I'm making you the next, you know, senator for Georgia, man. But yeah, it's leaders like this, young leaders like that in our day and age now. Because yeah, we respect the older generation, but we need some newer blood. We need some newer people, you know, to come in and really show us. And they're coming. And
I know a few of them.
Yeah, and they are coming. So I'm happy to see that there's not a shortage of leadership. We just need to follow these leaders, and then hopefully we can create some reform.
To your point, Mike, you bring up a really compelling point about representation and seeing faces in authority and policing that look like us. Right now, we're at a pivotal point where we're shining the light bright on the practices of police department, over policing, racial profiling, and all those things, and implicit bias towards Black people by policing. With that, how do we now entice our youth to even pursue that line of work? Because right now we have a lot of messaging, we have a lot of examples of police misdeeds and their counterparts who should hold them accountable because they're there. They're taught right from wrong, but they're not holding their fellow officers accountable for fear of retribution. So how do we shift the youth who might be interested in law enforcement to even pursue that as a path so that we can have that representation? It's kind of hard to find that tipping point where we need you to be good police because the ones we got are bad, but the stigma that come with police, like how do we even begin to communicate that? Maybe Slim, that's a question for you, since you have a relative who is pursuing that sheriff position in your county where you live.
Yes, just taking it head on, it's like, instead of looking at it as a certain situation, when you take pride in your community, to to bring change, you have to be the change.
Mm-hmm.
So that being said, we have to attack it head on. And I just know, like my cousin Reginald Scandrett, before he's running for sheriff, he had been the chief of police for DeKalb County for 30 years. He has an impeccable record. Everybody knows him, but they know him on the street too. Like, he does things in the community. So that's why he's loved on both the Republican and the Democrat. He didn't want to run. They asked him to actually run because it's a perfect situation. So I would just say to anybody, I would say to anyone that, we have to change our perception of the area. Instead of complaining, we need to be that. We need to take over. Nobody's going to give us anything. Right. So if they're not going to give it to us, we need to take it, and we need to change it ourselves. Be the change. Point blank. Simple.
Yeah, I mean, just to piggyback on what Slim was saying, like, to answer your question, it's pretty much along the lines of what Slim is saying. Like, how do you bring about change is that you create the change yourself, because that's the only way that we'll be properly represented. How you do it now is difficult. Now, I won't say that it's easier said than done, obviously. But what we would have to do for those that are interested in going into being a police officer and things of that nature, we would have to remind them that because with Black people anyway, like, white folk have a job, we have a responsibility, and then our responsibility is to represent our race, and of course that's a little deeper than the white man going to his job and doing a regular 9 to 5. And we have to do that. We have to represent our entire race. You know what I mean? So right. We with that mindset, you have got to go in the police field and anything of public service with the knowledge that if I don't do this, then it's never going to change, right? So we would have to have people come in with the mindset. And this younger generation, I really do feel like they're coming in with a different mindset than the status quo. They're really coming in with a mind frame that's like, hey, we are about change, and we are going to change, and we have to be there and support them and let them know that yes, it is okay to become a police officer. Matter of fact, we need you to become a police officer so you can identify with the community, because this white man coming in, what he does not. I don't care how many years he's been around, Black people, and he may have grown up in the hood, but he just still won't get it. The way that someone of our ilk, somebody of our hue, somebody of our skin tone can come in and do the same. We just identify with us, and I'm gonna be honest, this country has not given us too many examples of why we should trust them, you know what I'm saying, outside of our own race, man. So I think that the more people that we entice and we encourage to take those positions, I think that it will benefit us greater than if we allow somebody to come in, who's not from us, to come in and try to police us, man. Like, that's the worst thing that could happen. So the young people that want to be police officers, the people before them would just have to encourage them to listen. We will, if you go into that field, we will be, your backbone. We could be, because we as Black people, we are law-abiding citizens, for the most part. We understand, exactly. We understand what it means to be law-abiding citizens, and we want security for our kids to be outside and be able to play without worrying whether or not a bullet is going to fly past their heads and stuff like that. I have a son now, 22-year-old son. He just sworn into the Navy 2 days ago. I'm scared for him. But at the same time, it's his journey. It's the Most High told him, this is where he needs to go, and I'm behind it. So where I can't let my fear, dictate how I speak to him, and how, son, go forward, don't look back, go do whatever it is that you feel like you should do for your life, because it is your life, and I will be there to support you, and your uncle will be here to support you, and we're just gonna move you forward. And that's what we have to do with these young people that wants to get into policing as well. So.
Mm-hmm. I love this energy that you guys are on. You know, people think R&B dudes are kind of soft because they just singing about the ladies and they just so happy. But you guys are really, you know, rappers usually have that, you know, about that fight the power energy. But you guys are really spitting some real knowledge that people probably outside of Atlanta don't even know about you. When I was doing a deep dive, getting ready to talk to you, I didn't even know you guys had a scholarship there because I don't live in Atlanta. I live in Los Angeles. So I'm not aware that you guys had done a 112 musical scholarship to assist students who are pursuing that endeavor. And just you have family members who are active. And so by proxy, you are active in your community. And a lot of people will find a lot of inspiration and encouragement from what they're hearing from you, that y'all not just some R&B dudes just making music, but you really about that energy. So thank you for that. Let me talk. So let me pivot into, you have new music coming out. You have a new single called Spend It All. And you guys are pushed it back a little bit. I think that was an excellent choice, you know, to give people to focus and center on their families and what they have, what's happening in the world right now. Tell me a little bit about the sound of Spend It All and where you feel you are now musically, in terms of creatively, where you are musically.
Okay. Yeah. So with the change that has happened with 112, and you know the elephant in the room is we're down 2 members.
Right.
And you know we can touch on that, you know, but honestly it boils down to they decided to go in a different area in their lives or whatever, and God go with them and God bless them. But Slim and myself wanted to represent and keep 112 the brand going forward. So in a nutshell, I wish the story was sexier than that. But honestly, that's really all it boils down to. They decided to go in a different direction, and God go with them. But with rebranding 112 to Slim and myself, we wanted to make sure that we don't alienate our fan base from before, but we also wanted to open the 112 brand to this newer generation as well. So musically, we wanted to make sure that our music was representing what's going on in today's music right now. And then we'll have our traditional melodies and harmonies and lyrical content that makes people remember the good old days with, you know, with 112, it was representing and what we're all about. So this new vibe that we got, we've been calling it, you know, just trap and beat, you know what I mean? So, but that's pretty much what it boils down to. You got the R&B, but then the beats are so hard and just so, it's still musical, but they're hard. Like if a rapper wanted to rap on it and stuff like that. So that's been a challenge as well, because like you said, with R&B, so we're used to having our, you know, music be more smooth and, you know, more R&B-ish, and for us to go in this direction, kind of the same way that BBD did with New Edition, when they created a whole different sound. It's kind of like what we're doing right now. So it's still 112, but at the same time, the music and the sound is just, it's more aggressive, it's more in your face. And we've taken away some of the fluff, if you will, that comes from R&B and just brought it down to the bare bones. And what people, it's really what's going on in today's, you know, society, if you will. Like, you know, forget all the fluff and all the glitz and glamour and all this other stuff. Let's take it down to the bare bones. What's going on right now? And that's what the music is pretty much, you know, saying. So Spend It All is self-explanatory. Like we got a lot of money. We try to spend it on the girl that we love. So, you know, what woman don't want to hit it?
You know, we're also spending time and spending, you know what I'm saying? Like, cause it's not just a money thing. You know what I'm saying? Cause it's like as far as, you know, when you address our queens, you know what I mean? We're not just gonna, you know, you can't just come, it's not a one-trick pony trying to impress our queens.
Right.
So, you know, so we have to spend our time, you have to spend your energy, everything, you have to give 112% of your total self.
So whatever all encompasses, that's what it is. So, you know, if it means I'm gonna spend all my time with you, boom. I'm gonna spend all my money with you, boom. I'm gonna spend whatever
the rest of my life. You know what I'm saying?
Boom.
Like that's what we got.
I like that.
Yeah,
That was real R&B. What he just did. Like, I see what you did.
hey man,
That's dope.
R&B, it's lifestyle.
We using it. We going forward.
Well, we need that. I feel like R&B is starting to get a little bit more romantic again, because there was a period of time where it wasn't too romantic. It was just like,
right.
I got hoes and
right
in an R&B kind of melody-ish, auto-tune-ish, whatever they were doing in the studio. But just even hearing the inspiration for Spend It All, it is shifting back into that romantic style. Is R&B going back to romance? Are we falling back in love again?
We definitely would like for it to go in that direction, because what we need now in this world, above all else, is love. Mm-hmm. That's what we, and love for your fellow man, love for, your significant other, love for yourself. But we need love, right now. And 112 has always been about the promotion of the evolution of love. So I would say, like, I really am happy to see the direction that, because music is cyclical anyway. You know what I mean? It does come back around, and it, like me and Slim always say, it's gonna come back around. It's gonna come back around. Like it always comes back around. It's gonna be the R&B boy bands that's gonna come back, and the groups and all of that stuff is coming back around. So it's just I know, right? But it's cyclical, and it's all gonna come back. And the days of I got holes and all this other stuff or whatever, like those days are long. Like, I'm glad that those days are long gone, because like Slim said, these are queens, these are not hoes. And I have 2 daughters, and my children are far from hoes. You know what I mean? So and I don't want them thinking that is the mindset that they have to have in order to be loved. Like, I open doors for my young for my young queens, and and it's to the point now that they'll sit and wait until somebody open that door, because in their mind they're like, excuse me, bro, like, are you gonna open this door for me or not? And that's and once you do that at a young age, then that's what they are accustomed to. So even if they get with somebody who's really not of that, it's like it's conditioning of the mind. It's an indoctrination of the mindset that these women are supposed to be protected. Our Black women are supposed to be protected. And hold on one second.
Oh, that's okay.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah.
Boom.
We good. Yeah. So our Black queens need to be protected. They have to be protected. And it starts from home. The first teachers are who? The parents. That's right. And once you show the kids that this is the way that you treat a woman, then that's the way that she's going to teach her kids, and so forth and so on. So we kind of got away from that as a society and as a people, and I'm glad that we're at least doing our part to make sure that we shift it back in that direction, because these women, they should be protected.
Absolutely. So a date for Spend It All to drop for us. What date are we going to drop?
We're thinking 3 weeks from now. We're thinking that 3 weeks from now, it should be enough time for things to kind of settle back down and start seeing some reform, because honestly, we felt like it was better that, like you said earlier, it's better that we fall back, because right now it's not the time for music. It's the time for revolution. And what we wanted to do is just be respectful of everything that was going on, and be respectful of George Floyd and Ahmaud Arbery and who.
We got Breonna Taylor,
Eric
Garner, and the list goes on and on.
It's so many names. And so we wanted to be respectful of the movement that was happening with that. So we figured that if given enough time, like give us enough time, we can start doing what we do best, which is promote love as much as we can. So I think we're saying about 3 weeks from now that we're going to release the single. So you listen, with this pandemic that's going on, we keep forgetting there's a pandemic going on.
Right.
Y'all ain't going. We ain't going nowhere. So we can push it back 3 weeks, and people will
completely forgot there's a pandemic. Folks are at the beach.
Right. I'm just waiting. Honestly, I'm just waiting on the aliens to land. So
yeah.
Come on, June, bring it.
Right. In Vegas, it's a wrap. It is thick in the casinos already in Vegas. I saw a clip today from a colleague of mine. It's thick. There's a UFC fight this weekend. Folks is out.
Yeah.
I'm not ready to stick my toe in the water like that quite yet. Y'all test it out.
Right.
Y'all let me know how that first batch of air goes, and then I'll come out after.
Right. Absolutely. And so, it's for all those that do not, I have no qualms whatsoever about staying indoors. It's we have to keep moving. So that's that, and our job requires us to be in and out and about. So that's what we do. But trust me, if we didn't have to, we would. Because you just don't really know, and you just really don't know what's going on right now in the world today. So that's another thing that we definitely got to get a hold on. Because honestly, with all this propaganda that's going on, you absolutely don't know what's going on. You got a pandemic going on at the same time. There's civil unrest, and the zombies are coming, the aliens are coming.
Man.
It's
I don't
crazy.
think the aliens are coming. I think the aliens are looking at this like, oh no, we out.
Right.
Those human beings are crazy. No. We'll come back in about 20 and see if they got it a little, because we don't want them bringing all that to where we are.
I know that's right. That's right.
Well,
That's
gentlemen,
right.
thank you so much. I've enjoyed this tremendously. I'm such huge fans of yours. I have a 16-year-old back here who could sing your whole catalog just because she heard it so much. I told her this morning, she knows your music, but she doesn't always remember the name. And I said, I'm going to interview 112 today. And she goes, who's 112? And I go, I see you looking at me. She was like, for real? I'm like, yes. Stay in your room. And, pull it up on Tidal and run it for them. So these brothers, man, we didn't even
There
talk
you
about
go.
That's right.
Yeah, man.
Run it
That's
on
right.
Tidal, so these men can get those coins, man. Run it on
That's
Tidal.
right. That's right. Thank you so very much.
Thank you. Have a wonderful day. God bless you. Be safe, and looking forward to the new music.
Thank you. Peace and blessings.
Thank you. Take care. Bye-bye.
Right. Bye.